Hello and welcome to the CRM Zen show, where we talk about all things Zoho. This is episode 168. If this, then Zoho. Recorded on Friday, October 15th, 2021 from Zenata Consulting. I'm Brett Martin.
And I'm Tyler Colt, and let's get right on into the show.
All right, we've got double trouble coming up here, Tyler. We're doing back-to-back webinars next week. So we'll start with the announcements and events here. We're going to be doing one on Zoho Work Drive, which actually was kind of fun to put together. And that will be on Tuesday, October 19th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And then we're doing with Zoho. The Zoho finance team invited us to do this webinar. So we're going to be doing an intro to advanced analytics for Zoho books. That's going to be the very next day, Wednesday, October 20th, 2021 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You're pretty much going to be driving that ship, Tyler, but looks like it's going to be some good stuff. I mean, I've reviewed both of them. I think both of those events are, I don't know, entertaining, educational, all those things.
Two pretty solid applications too, that if you are using Zoho, you want to take a look at.
Yeah, for sure. Work Drive more and more so, I think, as well too. So, and also if you head over to zenata.com/events, this is where we track all of the events, and also next week, but at a different time. If you want to get up at 4 a.m. if you're in the Pacific time zone, or 7 a.m. if you're on the East Coast, there's going to be What's New in Zoho People September webinar. Well, I guess everything they did in September, that's going to be there. You've then got ours. And then there's a whole bunch of best methods to ensure customer-centric email marketing. That's going to be at noon on Wednesday, October 20th. Anyway, head on over to zenata.com/events and you can see all of the stuff we've got going on. All right. And with that, let us roll in here to the news. So we'll start with Zoho CRM Plus has turned 7. Woohoo! So if you are unfamiliar with CRM Plus, it was kind of the original Zoho bundle. And it bundled together basically CRM, projects, analytics, desk, campaigns, survey, SalesIQ, and Zoho Social. And basically all of those applications have, make up the basis of CRM Plus, kind of set for sales teams. We've always commented that it was kind of missing Zoho Forms. That's kind of one of the key components there that would take it over the top. But it's just kind of a review of what they've done since they started CRM Plus and how it's unified. And it truly is, I think, when they built this, they're trying to get to that whole unified interface that they have in CRM Plus over in Zoho One, and it's been kind of slowly rolled out. Not sure it's quite gotten there yet, but I'm sure it will over time. But what's interesting about this article is what's on the road ahead. And they say they don't want to ruin the surprises, so they're kind of asking us to guess. They say they're going to strengthen the marketing side. My guess is that means that the marketing automation app, Tyler, is going to end up in this app. Yeah. We're still not sure what's happening with campaigns and marketing automation. Our theory is they're going to become one app with different levels of functionality based if you're on Pro or Basic or whatever. But I think they actually talked before about marketing automation coming over to CRM Plus. And then they say they're going to do some enhanced collaboration functions, and they're going to have a universal window for tracking your team's performance and some deeper unification features. So I guess all that is on the roadmap to come. No real timetable here, but I guess I say in the coming months.
And there's definitely a solid bundle. I mean, we see a decent number of people using this who might not want to get all of their employees on the Zoho One, and still a cost-effective way to cover really most of your bases for what you need to manage customer experience, right? So your sales, your marketing, your web engagement, your customer support with desk, all the different analytical tools. So it does have most of your bases covered if you are just looking to use Zoho for that CX experience.
Yeah, and it becomes the cheaper bundle. If you're on Zoho One, but you're not doing the all-employee package, you've got 100 employees and you only want 10 of them, maybe you don't need all those apps. And Zoho one then, right? And this kind of gives you the core, and you'll just purchase a couple others. So, it's one of those things. We've tried to build a pricing calculator around this. There's just so much with 60 applications and all the different bundles. It's really something you kind of need to do some research to figure out what's going to be the best for you and your organization. And also, this is pretty cool. Zoho has done some Cliq widgets using IFT. So if you're not familiar with IFT, it stands for if this, then that. It's a very cool application. I've used it for all sorts of things. I have my Amazon Echo. I can go into DEF CON and all the lights in the house flash. I mean, useful things like that, Tyler, when setting it up. But these kind of, they've kind of gone a little further with these. They're nice, really nice, useful applications. Get a notification when your MailChimp campaign has been sent. There's just so much you can do. They actually have an entire dedicated page to this over on IFT, if.com/Zoho Cliq, and basically all of the various applets that have already been built. Anything you think, I mean, I like IFT. I don't know if you use it for anything. I think it's, pretty powerful application, but nice to see, nice to see them do this integration.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of these here that are kind of almost similar things that we built for the, Zoho apps into Cliq. So like when a Salesforce opportunity is won, notify people in Cliq, notifying Cliq 15 minutes before a Google Calendar event, right? A lot of these things that, you might normally get an email for that might be better to just post into a Cliq channel. And these will be really easy to plug and play and use with the way that IFT gets turned on. Really just plug in both applications and you're good to go.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All righty. And then moving right along here, a Zoho CRM mobile app is revamping the Nearby Me screenshot. So if you're unaware, if you're on the mobile app for CRM and you're on iOS, you actually can pull up a map and say, hey, show me all the leads that are nearby me. Show me all of the contacts that are nearby me, the accounts that are nearby me. They're just changing the way the map looks. So they're going to kind of be more grouped with a number that will show up. So basically, rather than just have a bunch of pins, you'll have a pin that says, hey, there's six businesses near where you are right now.
Yeah, and as you click into those, it'll kind of zoom in, expand, and you'll see those specific, records on the map. So just kind of an easier way if you are looking at a broad area to not see, 100 pins, right? Maybe you'll see 10 groups of 10 and you can pick one of those and then expand it from there.
All right. And man, so we'll talk about the marketplace here. So this is kind of interesting. We're going to start 3 articles. One is on Zoho Desk, marketplace apps, then CRM, then kind of a roundup and some real interesting observations. Tyler, you've pointed this out in the past, but Zoho Desk is using the marketplace to actually put kind of core functionality into Desk. So 3 that really, really jump out here is Zoho Work Drive for Zoho Desk, which allows you to attach files from your Work Drive account when replying to tickets. It's only available in the US data center, though. So I'm not quite sure what that's about. And then 2 others that I think are bookmarks for Zoho Desk and customer ticket history for Zoho Desk, kind of things that you would, I guess, almost want to have in Zoho Desk across the board. Like this should just be kind of core functionality. But anyway, you can still get them. You just have to install these marketplace apps.
Yeah, it really seems like they're just trying to make sure that app stays lean and mean, and that maybe if you don't care about bookmarking, that you don't have anything that's sitting there that's not necessary, right? Just for performance and ease of use reasons. So I could see some reason why they would do it. Something like bookmarks, I would think should just be on for everybody. But some of those widgets are on customer insights and ticket history where, you're actually going to add a tab with that and it's going to make a query when you open it up. Like that's the type of thing that can actually slow down, just navigating around the application. So it makes sense for some of them, but it is kind of funny. I mean, it started a while back when they put their advanced reporting as a marketplace app. And it seems to have been kind of their new trend for that tool.
Yeah. But I also notice you have Zoho Flow for Zoho Desk. So you think this would just be something added to the back of Flow, but evidently you're going to have to install this.
I doubt it.
Get Flow? Strange.
I doubt you would need to install that. You're probably just going to go as you normally do and, just tie it in from the Zoho Flow side.
curious as to what the purpose of that app is. Also, two kind of interesting ones here. We'll talk about it, but there is a company called was it Migrate My Help Desk or something like that?
Helpdeskmigration.com.
Yeah. And basically they have done a series. So they actually have an import into Zoho Desk and an export into Zoho Desk tools. They're a cool company. Basically, you install these widgets. And, if you had the import, you basically can go ahead and connect. I'm moving from Zendesk to Zoho Desk. You connect the two. They do the migration for you. And they kind of migrate everything over. So they've got little tools that I imagine will give them stubs into their, basically this is going to give them access without having to have credentials. Once this is installed, they've got access. They can do those kind of things. So, all righty. And then moving on, we've got the CRM extensions that have been added to Marketplace. I didn't see anything here that was really, another one, text messaging.
Another day, another text messaging integration.
Yeah. So nothing really jumping out here at a lot of very niche applications, basically. Mm-hmm. And then a whole bunch of new telephony extensions that have been pushed out as well. And then when we look at the overall roundup of everything that was added to the Marketplace in September, they start with CRM ones and the desk one, but then we do have some kind of nifty other extensions, which again, you've got the same company doing the export for Zoho Mail and the export for Zoho Books. So basically, if you're looking for migration, I guess those are, I want to leave, I guess. I want to go somewhere else, but that's kind of it. And then we've got another one just for the US data center, a well visit plan. So it's a customer visit application.
One thing that would be interesting there with the export data from Zoho Books is we oftentimes run into a case where customers want to use Zoho Books for the workflow benefits, right? They're using the CRM. They want their sales rep to be able to quickly create an invoice, send it out, get paid all through the CRM deal interface. I could see, if this was a quick and easy way to push that over to QuickBooks, like if I could say, hey, once a week, I'm going to go ahead and log into this tool and run my export import from Books to QuickBooks, might be a fix for some of those people where, maybe their accountant or bookkeeper is not quite ready to get off of QuickBooks, but they really want to move their workflow over to Zoho. I could see a use case maybe if this is kind of smooth and elegant, or on a weekly or biweekly basis, you kind of just push all your data over. So I could definitely see something there. In terms of, even if you wanted to stay on Books, there is that use case that oftentimes comes up.
And it's all these guys do. Their entire thing is really just, pure migrations across the board. If you go to help-desk-migration.com, they're doing it with much more than, you basically can choose where you want to migrate from. And they've got all the various applications that are there, Zoho Desk, Zoho Mail. It's interesting. I don't see Zoho Books on here as well. But they basically, you choose what application you want to go from and what application you want to go to and map it all out. And they're just hitting it. I worry, though. I wonder if this is going to hit some API limits or something, or if maybe they're just doing it, they're running it differently. They're just grabbing a CSV export of everything, dumping that file on their end, and then pushing it up.
Yeah, or doing some rate limiting. If you know the rate limit for desk, and you can kind of do it over the course of an hour or something like that, you could definitely work around it.
Yeah, I used these guys a long time ago for Salesforce migration. That was kind of interesting back then, because if you Zoho's migration does work, but it does have quite a bit of a problem with attachments. And you kind of got to break things up. So that was something worth looking at. All righty then. With that, let's move on to kind of our monthly recaps. And we've got the Zoho Mail September recap. I think we've got everything covered here. I didn't see really anything major in this at all. Kind of some. Did you anything?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. They do the Cliq integration. They recap that. Being able to say I don't want to do my DKIM is nice. That does the pop up over and over and over again when people log in.
Yes.
So that's that's a nice one to have. But nothing too crazy there from Zoho Mail.
No. And then we have the Zoho People October newsletter. It's kind of a roundup of everything that happened in People in the month of October. Nothing major here that we didn't cover already. They do have that People webinar coming up on this Tuesday. It's at 10 a.m. GMT, so very early over here. And then some tips of the month. The newsletter is usually fairly good. This one's kind of a little light, but if you are a People user, as always, you will want to check that out. And it's a very slow news week, buddy. That is kind of it. So with that, let's go. Let's go to the implementation of the week.
So this one here is based on Zoho Forms and Zoho CRM. So one of the nice things about Zoho Forms is that you can capture a variety of different attachments with it, right? So you can send out a form to a customer and get, maybe a picture of the room you're going to do work in, and a picture of the blueprint of the room, and, picture of the roof, all these different things, whatever type of attachments you're gathering. And it has a direct integration to the CRM that can take all those various attachments from the form and load them directly into that module. Now, the only challenge with this is that Zoho Forms only ties to one module at a time. So I can say this is going to integrate to leads or integrate to contacts. And a lot of the time, the problem is that if, depending on the type of form, someone might still be a lead when they're filling that out. They might already be a contact. They've talked to a salesperson. And, normally, if we need to run an integration from Forms that's going to check leads and contacts, we'll go through Zoho Flow. Kind of a nice little easy tool to use to just, search contacts. If they're there, add the data to the contact, search leads. If they're there, add it to the lead. And if they're in neither place, you can go ahead and create a lead. But the issue with that is that Zoho Flow, as of right now, can't process any attachments. So you can't actually pull any files through Zoho Flow. So what we went ahead and did, we created a custom module in the CRM that's basically just for Zoho Forms entries. We integrated the form to that module rather than to the leads or the contacts. And then on creation of a record in that module, when someone submits the form, we go ahead and use the data from the form, name, email, company, whatever we've got, and we search for an existing lead or contact in a custom function based on that data, and then move the attachments over there. All just, using some API calls to grab and re-upload those attachments to the proper records. Big advantage here is just really that management of the attachments themselves. There's a lot of different ways to search multiple modules, but this is kind of the main one that we'll use if we do need to bring attachments over, just because Deluge doesn't have a problem with them, but Zoho Float does.
Nice. I think we use that. We've used that quite a bit. I mean, not necessarily the forms, but I think using Deluge to move attachments around, manage attachments. I mean, it's kind of a very, very nice process. You can automate the creation of documents. Once you create it, you want to attach it so everybody can easily use it. And
and the big thing here too is that in the CRM, you don't really want to store a lot of files there, like the actual file itself. I mean, you get a decent amount of storage out of the box with the CRM, but the problem is once you hit the cap, it's not a good price to buy more. I forget exactly what it is, but you buy it in like 5 gig increments, and it's like
$4 a month.
$4 a month for every 5 gigs.
Yes.
Something like that. Yeah, so it's not really a great deal. And so the nice thing about this is that if those leads and contacts all have, let's say, work drive folders associated to them, you can move the attachments there rather than directly to that attachments related list, and reduce the amount of files you have sitting directly in the CRM.
Nice. All righty. And with that, let's move on to our read of the week. It's kind of a cool one. How to stand your ground, delivering great customer service. So I'm not sure the title is good, but it's basically the customer isn't always right, which occasionally is true. And so this person's talking about various things. Don't fall for the ambush. Don't take that 6 a.m. call when you're asleep. The customer wants to cut your rate or your fee. But anyway, nice little article on customer service. One of the key points I loved in here was down at the bottom is remember that clients who walk aren't a good fit. And I think that sometimes that's true. I think sometimes, you look and it's like, look, we thought we could help you, but we can't, or vice versa, or maybe there's personality conflicts, but I don't know. And we've got a 99% satisfaction rate here, but this is some nice advice for dealing potentially with a difficult client. Anything stand out to you?
I like the fourth point. I think it's number 4. Yeah, it's kind of like setting those boundaries. They make a good point here that like if you're constantly having to decide what you will and won't do for the customer each time, it becomes more fatiguing, right? But if you kind of set up some rules around, okay, when am I going to allow a same day booking, right? Or when am I going to cancel an internal meeting to get on the phone with a client, right? Kind of create that decision tree in advance. Then when you get to that point of, conflict, or when you get to that kind of request from a customer, you already have a framework in mind that you can use. And you don't have to be making each decision kind of one at a time as those different requests come through.
Yep. And there are some interesting points in here too. I like the article. It's very anecdotal. So tells some good stories in here. So worth taking a look at. That's over from the Zapier blog, by the way. Thank you, Vanu, for pointing that blog out to us. I like it more and more. All righty. And then over on Zanata.com, we've got a nice case study. Great client of ours, DataYard. This is actually one you worked on, isn't it?
Yep. They are a managed service provider of all things IT, cloud servers, mail domains, hardware on site servers. We basically built out their CRM. They've got a custom deal layout that is tracking all these different types of products and groupings and services, creating the proposals automatically, parking them in WorkDrive. Once deals are sold, writing all those different products and services up to the account so that they're able to know when someone calls, what server do they have, how many mail accounts are they paying for, so on and so forth. Then lastly, kind of building out some analytics for them. One of the big challenges for people who are doing any type of service-based work with Zoho is that oftentimes the way it goes is, you win the deal and you make a project to do the initial build out, right? So we're going to go on site, we're going to install the server racks, we're going to set up the domains. Then, 3 months later, as you're doing tweaks and things like that, a lot of that stuff is going to run through Desk. And the challenge is, okay, where is my team spending their time? And the reality is they're tracking time in projects and in Desk. And so one of the big goals here was using analytics to marry those databases so that you can know, John Smith spent 6 hours doing these project tasks and 2 hours working on these desk tickets yesterday, all kind of in a consolidated view. So a lot of analytics and reporting for these guys as well. Is definitely a great project.
Yeah, fun account. Shout out to Dave and the team over there. Thanks so much for that case study and the kind words as well. And then also we've got 3 tips for payment gateways. So we're often asked what payment gateways you should use. So this is kind of a breakdown of all of them. Stripe, WePay, PayPal, PayPal Pro, 2Checkout, Authorize.net, Forte, and WorldPay. Basically, the one thing that always jumps out about these is where's the investigation into collusion? Because they all pretty much charge 2.9%,
Exactly.
2.75 plus 25 plus 30. They've all got all their crazy different rates. Excuse me. They've all got all their crazy different rates, and it's just interesting to look at these. But we'll also talk, the different payment methods. I mean, if you are using a credit card, you can basically assume you're going to pay about 3% across the board on your fees. If you can get your clients to pay with ACH, that's usually about 50 cents a transaction. So if you look at a $5,000 transaction, instead of paying $150, you're paying 50 cents. It's kind of a big difference there. So there's also e-check and all those kind of things as well. So really just kind of the, giving you the various options on how to do things. I mean, on our invoices, we actually put the ACH info, the wire info, and of course the credit card info, and people can pay how they want. You don't want to force someone into a certain direction because you just kind of want to get paid. But anyway, here are the various gateways and how to use them. I will point out that Authorize.net is also kind of an aggregator for a lot of credit card So basically, if you're with a third-party credit card processing firm and you want to integrate it with Zoho, you can do so through Authorize.net. It's kind of the payment gateway that handles, all the ones that are out there, because they pretty much work with every credit card process that there is. So anyway, good job, team. Nice article there. And moving on to our pick of the week, IFT. So we talked about it earlier. If this, then that. Basically, you can use it to kind of do anything. Zoho Cliq, a bunch of applications were built for Zoho Cliq. But I don't know, Tyler, I use this. I mean, I was looking at my applets here. I haven't looked at this in a while. I think I've got, tell Alexa to find your phone, right? Keep a Google spreadsheet of all the songs I listen to. It's very weird. I'll go look and I'm like, oh, this spreadsheet's been updated since the beginning of time. Organize your iPhone screenshots into their own album. I mean, there's just kind of, there's kind of really crazy stuff that you can do.
Cool platform.
Anyway.
Yes. In the world of business apps, we use a lot of things like Zapier and Zoho Flow, which are doing the same thing. If something happens over here, I want something else to happen over here using that data. And what I found with IFT is it's that same thing, but more for like consumer applications. So I actually have one running that on Spotify, every month or every week, it generates you 30 songs that you might like based on all the different things you listen to. And I always had this issue where if I forgot about listening to it for a week, I'd miss out on some of that music that I might have liked. So I found an IFT out here that basically every time your new Discover Weekly generates, it adds those 30 songs to a running playlist. So if I ever just miss a couple for a week, I can still go check it out and see if there's anything that I like. There's a lot here too that you're using it for, like home automation too, right? Like if I say this to Alexa, go over here and turn on this music or change these lights and things like that.
Yeah. Or flashlights. So, if you set a timer, rather than it just going ding, 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 if you're in another room, you're not near it, if you flash all the lights in the house, it's like, oh, the timer's done kind of thing. There's a whole lot you can do with it, and super, super simple to build these things. I mean, it's basically connect app 1, connect app 2, put in your conditions, and away you go, right?
Yep. So
a little different than Zapier, but in many cases, it's there's some similarities there as well. Zapier,
it's always interesting. It's if this, then that is basically how everything works. So it's a nice little framework to use for a lot of this stuff. Yeah,
it really is. So cool app, and I can't believe we never talked about it before. But there you go. Now let us move on to the tip of the week. Tyler, this was part of your Zoho Learn series that you are doing. So this one is creating articles and content.
Yep. So on our first video that came out last week, we walked through creating your spaces and manuals, which is kind of how you get everything organized of where content is going to go. And then in this video, we kind of walk through how to create the articles, how to pull from templates, what the different kind of things and decisions you can make as you're creating these. It's pretty solid. I mean, for kind of a first go round on this application, given that it came out just a month or two ago, I really didn't run into any hiccups. Oftentimes, look behind the curtain when we are, recording some of these live videos. Every now and then you got to kind of back up and re-record something because it doesn't work how you thought it was going to. But this was pretty straightforward. I mean, everything kind of comes pretty naturally. They've got a good bank of templates, right? So if you know that you're going to create something that's an SOP, you can just grab from that and edit it from there. So pretty solid for creating a lot of this content. I was impressed.
Yeah, it's we want to say Zoho Learn is an internal learning management system only, though. Mm-hmm. So it's for your Zoho users, and it is part of Zoho One. So if you have Zoho One, you're kind of good to go with that. But great application, and I don't know what are the differences between it and the LMS inside People?
There's a lot more in People. Like the one in People has like rooms. Like it's built a little bit more if you wanted to like do like a live course. So like Learn doesn't have like I'm going to schedule this training at 1 p.m. Here's a link. It's a video thing, right? Whereas in Zoho People, you can say like, we're going to do a thing at this time in this room. A lot of the like knowledge management pieces, like making manuals, making articles, those are very, very similar. But there's just a couple additional features that are in People around like real session management, maybe I'll say.
Yeah, and we're going to have to dive into Trainer Central as well. So Zoho has an application called Showtime that I think has been deprecated for everybody. I don't think you can get it anymore, right? It's gone.
I don't think so.
Showtime.
If you've got it, you've got it. Otherwise, it's gone.
It's gone. And that application has kind of been taken out of the world of Zoho, and they've got a standalone brand. So they've got a product called Manage Engine, which basically is mobile device management software. That's a Zoho owned, but its own brand, Manage Engine. They've done this with Trainer Central as well. It's more than an LMS, though. It's kind of it's an LMS, it's a webinar tool, it's an online training tool, it's, all of these things rolled into one. And we got a good sneak peek of it about 6 months ago, 7 months ago.
Yeah,
so
probably
kind enough to give us kind of a walkthrough of it. But I have not played with Trainer Central since they released it. So and I think we'll have to buy a license. I think we're gonna have to buy a license too, right?
I think so. Maybe we can use some of our wallet credits.
Hey, you never know. All right. And with that, let us move on to our Q&A. First Q&A, what's a wallet credit? So those of you that don't know, the more money you spend with Zoho on the back end, they're giving you things called wallet credits that technically can be used to purchase applications you haven't tried before, right? So you can purchase a year with that. I haven't found any use case for them. I think we were sitting on $10,000 in wallet credits.
If you're on Zoho 1, it's kind of hard to find an application that you don't already have. Right, so it's kind of a running joke here at Sonata is what are we going to do with all these wallet credits?
All right. So if you're in the chat room, drop your questions in the Q&A box. And while we're waiting for those to come in, let's talk about some stuff we've got over on YouTube. So Artifact, handmade in Omaha, Nebraska. What is the workflow if you do not offer net terms and your orders are all prepay? And this was in reference to our Zoho inventory full product tutorial that we did. It would seem to me, Tyler, that you would basically just create, your invoice would be net, due upon receipt at zero, and it would automatically trigger to paid.
And I think there's like the follow-up question is kind of like managing that. I'm assuming because this is about the inventory webinar that part of this question might be around packaging slips. Yeah. And so one thing that you could do is one, like Brett's saying, you could set your default terms on an invoice as due on receipt. And one thing I've done to kind of manage this in the past, kind of different, but it might apply for what the question you're asking is I actually made it so that the vast majority of users in inventory were not able to create a package. Only kind of like admin level users could manually create one. And then really the vast majority of packages were just created automatically once the invoice was paid. So if all of your orders are coming in as a sales order and then you're making your invoice and the other side of that sales order could make a package, once that invoice is paid, you can go ahead and automatically create the package and do it that way. So that really the packages are only getting created once that invoice is paid. That does require some deluge. Little bit, it can be a little tricky to work inside of inventory sometimes if you're new to it. But with a little bit of custom code, you can kind of manage that process.
All right. And then we have a question. This was interesting. We had a very old video, Zoho CRM 101, setting up a unique custom field for import. This is old because I think now that you actually have record ID fields that have been added since then, so you can do these kind of things. But the idea around this is that you would, basically setting a custom field so that when you're doing import, you can kind of sort your records, you can associate them, those kind of things, depending on how you were doing it. But he's asking, how do I import fields like passwords in Zoho? And I'm really not sure what the question is here. Import is pretty straightforward. Basically, if you are in any module in the CRM in the upper corner, you basically can click import. And once you go ahead and click that import button, it's going to ask you to upload a CSV, and then you have a couple options around it. Do you want to just do new records? Do you just want to update records, or do you want to do both? And then you're going to tell it what your basically unique import field is. So, are you triggering off of their email? Are you triggering off of, their name, which can be kind of dangerous, or a phone number? You want things that are unique. And this actual video is referring to is about setting unique identifiers that are different. So for a lot of companies don't have email, but you want to have unique identifiers on a record, right? You can use the record ID, but that's pretty much only available, once you're exporting and importing. So, there are a couple of things around that.
And I think a note here too is that if you were like, if your business is storing customer passwords, either to a service you provide or a service for other people, you should probably do that via API, an OAuth authenticated API, and like a scheduled function to bring them in. You probably do not want to pull those passwords into a CSV and move them over, ideally, just because of data security. Right. You'd probably want to set up an encrypted field in the CRM, which is kind of just a little checkbox when you're adding a new field to a module. And really, if at all possible, you're going to want to send those over just via a scheduled API function that you can then kind of kill when it's done. Because you don't really want that floating around.
Them living in plain text out there on a spreadsheet.
Yeah, you really want you want to avoid that. It would be the same with like a social or things like that you just want to be extra careful with around that type of data.
Yeah. We've actually done some really interesting things internally around that. We never even see our passwords or touch them. They go directly from customer submission.
Very cool.
Through an API. We have to use one password. That doesn't mean we don't love Zoho Vault. Zoho Vault is great, but in order to use Zoho Vault, you have to be logged into your Zoho account. And since we're working with so many different Zoho accounts, you can't be logged into it and look up the passwords that you need then to log into another account. So we did a really cool thing with 1Password where basically our clients fill out an encrypted form. What are we hitting AWS? And from AWS,
it has to go to some. You run I think you run a piece of 1Pass software on an AWS server, and then you pass it through that way.
Yeah. So completely slick, everything encrypted, everything all neatly held up. So anyway, that's good stuff. And we have one more question here. This is an interesting one. Jason V says, I love Brave, but for some odd reason, the Zoho CRM Chrome extension does not work with Brave, even though it is based on the Chromium browser. Are you guys having issues with this as well? I reached out to Zoho support and they said the CRM extension is only compatible with Chrome, which makes no sense. Am I missing something here?
It would have it'd have to be Brave is blocking some type of client or browser script that's doing something. Brave is really, really tight about what's allowed to happen in the browser because it's trying to block any types of like web scripts or things like that would be running. So I would have to imagine that would be the source of the issue.
If I'm kind of curious, if you hit the little slider up at the top and turn Brave off. The shield's off. If you put shields off, if you still have that problem as well. I will tell you that Brave will not work with any telephony Chrome extension I found. Shields on, shields off, whatever. It's just got, I think the fact it's just stripping so much out when it's doing all the blocking it's doing. But even with shields off, you would think that would open it right back up. But I have found there's been a few little buggy things. Are you finding the Chrome extension for CRM doesn't work? On Brave?
Honestly, I don't think I use it inside and as a Chrome extension myself.
Let me go try Brave here real quick. Yeah, all right. I'll test that out later. I'll open Brave and see what the extension, because I had that extension there. So, all right. And then Wayne in the chat room wants to know that why don't we have any more Cobra news? I should have found something.
We let you down, Wayne. We failed.
Yeah. I think we're going to save Cobra news for monthly. It'll definitely be a big part of the year in review, by the way. Oh, by the way, the surveys are going out. So the 2021 Zen Me show is coming up here in like 8 weeks. I can't believe time is just gone. So the surveys are going to be going out here soon, and we will be doing our big show here at the end of the year. We do the full year in review. Everything happened in Zoho last year. We do the Zen Me's. Yeah, we have our wish list Have you started your wish list yet?
No,
Your
I've
Zoho
got
wish
to start.
list?
I gotta start making my wish list. Send it out to Santa Claus this year.
I know, man. Here, please, Zoho. Here's everything we want. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. As always, if you have any questions or comments, just head over to Zenata.com and drop us a line.
And on the website is where you'll find complete episodes as well as show notes with links to the stories we discussed today. As always, we'd love if you follow us on your favorite social media platform and subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app, as well as on YouTube. We'll see you next Monday.